Nigel, need to get your view on a guest we had on earlier, somebody that you know, Conservative MP Philip Davis, and myself and Ben pushed him on reform. And he claimed reform at the election is and will be an irrelevance. What's your reaction to those comments?
Well, I've heard that before. I remember UKIP, when I was leading it in the early days, being described by David Cameron as swivel-eyed loonies of fruitcakes and mostly closet racists. Well, that did come back to rather bite Mr Cameron, because in the end, I managed to get him out as Prime Minister. So be very careful, Mr Davis, what you say. And I like Philip, but be careful. Because if you go and talk to your constituents and you ask them about reforms policies of fighting back against the woke agenda, helping small businesses, fulfilling the promises on immigration that were made in the Brexit campaign, you might find, Mr Davis, that actually a lot of your voters prefer reforms policies to yours. So this is somehow Conservative members of Parliament think they have a God-given, entitled right to their jobs, and that nobody else should ever stand for election against them apart from the Labour Party. And again, not quite on the level of Mr. Howard Davis, but Philip is out of touch.
Yeah, Richard Littlejohn made a good point in his Daily Mail column today, saying, why do the Tories have a God-given divine right to think that they should stand? Why isn't it them standing down for reform? Likewise, when the Brexit Party stood aside for Boris in 2019, and you arguably handed him the election. With reform built in the spirit of the Brexit Party, a lot of similar faces, both front of centre and behind the scenes, it's a bit, some would say, silly of Philip to suggest that this time round they're going to be irrelevant. But Nigel Farage, thank you so much.
Hang on, I just wanted to hear what Nigel was going to say then, because your face was...
Look, it isn't just Philip Davis. You've got the editorials of the Mail, the Sun, the Telegraph. They're all saying reform shouldn't exist. We need to keep the Tories in power. The Tories are really awful. They're terrible, but Labour would be worse. Don't we deserve something better than this? Don't we deserve to have an actual, open, proper debate where parties put out what they believe in and let the electorate decide? And I'll tell you this for nothing. There is no way that Richard Tice is backing down. There is no way he's going to do sweetheart deals with any Tory members of Parliament whatsoever. And reform isn't here for one election. It's here for the long term to try and replace the existing establishment parties. And that point he's making very strongly.
Great stuff. Nigel Farage, thank you for joining us this morning. Very much appreciated.